A SaaS company runs an A/B test. They add one single line to their homepage. Join 40,000 marketing teams already using this. No new feature, no discount, no redesign. Conversions jump. The product didn't change. The crowd did. That's the bandwagon effect, and it's more engineerable than most marketers realize. Today, we're breaking down the bandwagon effect, what it is, the brands that have turned it into growth engines, what the research says, and 3 marketing moves you can put to work immediately to accelerate adoption before your competitors figure out what's going on. The bandwagon effect is the tendency for people to adopt a behavior, belief, or product because they perceive that others are already doing it. And the more adoption there is, the more attractive adoption becomes. It's a self-reinforcing loop, or as my good friend John would say, it's a self-licking ice cream cone, which economists call a network externality, and which your P&L experiences as compounding growth if you know how to trigger it. The psychology of this effect runs deep. For most of human history, following the crowd was a genuinely useful heuristic. If everyone in the tribe was running in one direction, you didn't stop to investigate, you ran. The people who paused to think it through got eaten. So our brains evolved a strong bias towards consensus as a proxy for correctness. In consumer behavior, that wiring means buyers facing uncertainty look to other people's choices as evidence of quality, not because they're lazy, because it's efficient. The crowd has already done the due diligence, and in a world drowning in options, that's a rational shortcut. What makes the bandwagon effect structurally different from other social influence principles is the acceleration component. It doesn't just make individual buyers more likely to convert. It makes the product itself more valuable to each new buyer as the total number of buyers grows. That's a compound effect, and it shows up on your P&L. The clearest example of the bandwagon effect I can give you in a B2B product is LinkedIn's People You May Know feature. As you probably already know, LinkedIn is now the dominant professional network with over 1 billion members. But what most people don't remember is that the early LinkedIn had a serious cold start problem. Why join a network where you don't know if your colleagues are already there? They solved that challenge with one design decision. When a new user signed up, LinkedIn showed them exactly how many people from their current company and past companies were already on the platform, not a vague, join millions of professionals, a specific list of faces you recognized with a number attached. The message wasn't, this is a great product. The message was, your colleagues are already here, and you've been missing out. LinkedIn grew from 2 million members in 2006 to 10 million by 2007. 1 year, 5 times the size. The feature didn't change what LinkedIn was. It made the crowd visible, and the crowd did the selling. Now that's a B2B example with a rational professional buyer. What about a $3 canvas tote bag? Trader Joe's introduced mini canvas tote bags in early 2024, priced at $2.99. They didn't announce them. They didn't run ads. They just put them on the shelves. And then something happened that nobody at the company fully predicted. Customers started posting about them. Then the posts went viral on TikTok. Then people started lining up before stores opened to buy the maximum allowed quantity, which was 25 bags a customer. Then the bags started appearing on eBay and Depop for hundreds of dollars. Then international buyers in London, Seoul, and Tokyo started acquiring them as American cultural artifacts. By spring 2025, a Trader Joe's tote release day drove a 21.2% spike in store traffic compared to a typical Tuesday, according to location intelligence from Placer.ai. Think about that for a second. A $2.99 bag, a 21% foot traffic spike, and Trader Joe's spokesperson told the Associated Press they hadn't even had the opportunity to promote them before customers across the country found them and started the frenzy themselves. Nobody wanted the bag because it was a great bag. They wanted it because everyone else seemed to want it. And not knowing why everyone wanted it made it more compelling, not less. That's the bandwagon effect at its purest. There's no logic to the chase, just the crowd, and the feeling that the crowd knew something you didn't. And here's one more. This one's so simple it barely needs explaining, because it might be the most powerful single sentence in digital marketing. You're walking through a new city with your partner. You turn a corner and see a line out the door at a French fry place. No one told you it was good. You never even heard of it. But you look at your partner, and without a word, you both get in line. Because, hey, everyone else is. That instinct, that snap decision to follow the crowd, that's the same mechanism your potential customers are running when they see a user count, a review total, or a trending badge on your product page. That instinct, that snap decision to follow the crowd, that's the same mechanism your potential customers are running when they see a user count, a review total, or a trending badge on your product page. So is this real, or is this just some psychology talk? Let's look at the research. In 1950, an economist at Harvard published a paper on this entire phenomenon in the Quarterly Journal of Economics. The paper formally demonstrated that demand for certain goods is not just a function of price and intrinsic quality. It's a function of how many other people are consuming that good. When perceived adoption goes up, willingness to pay goes up with it. This wasn't a marketing paper. It was an economic theory, and it proved that everyone switching to X isn't mere persuasion. It's a genuine shift in the perceived value of X. And more commercially important research came later. In 2006, researchers at Columbia University published what is now known as the Music Lab Experiment in Science. They built an artificial music market with 14,000 participants and 48 unknown songs, and randomly assigned listeners to one of two conditions. Some could see how many times each song had been downloaded by previous participants. Others made choices with no social information at all. The result wasn't just that popularity influenced choices. The same song could be a hit or a complete flop, depending entirely on which group it landed in and how its early numbers happened to fall. The researchers described the market as unequal and unpredictable. Social influence wasn't just amplifying winners, it was creating them. Here's what that means for your category. The competitor who establishes an early perception of momentum, even before that momentum is real in absolute terms, can trigger a bandwagon dynamic that makes their lead self-sustaining. The product that looks like it's winning starts winning, which means the marketing question is not just, how do we get more customers? It's, how do we make our existing customer base visible and credible at the exact moment a new buyer is deciding? A follow-up study published in Science in 2013 sharpens this even further. Researchers ran a large-scale randomized experiment tracking social influence on content ratings across a major online platform. Posts that received a single artificial upvote early on ended up with final ratings 25% higher than control posts. One signal and a cascade. And critically, early negative signals didn't create equivalent downward cascades. The bandwagon dynamic is asymmetric. Positive early signals compound with a force that negative ones simply don't match. And for marketers, that asymmetry is the most commercially significant insight in the entire body of research. It means that investing early, heavily, and specifically in visible proof has a return that exceeds whatever it cost you to create it. The first upvote is worth more than the 15th. That first 100 reviews matter more than the second 1,000. Get to visible momentum first, and the math starts working in your favor. Here's 3 marketing moves to put the bandwagon effect to work for your product or service. Marketing move number 1, make your existing adoption visible, specific, and timed to the moment of decision. The principle? Buyers facing uncertainty use other buyers' choices as evidence. Your job is to make those choices visible at every point where conversion decisions happen. Here's the wrong version. Over 10,000 customers. That looks specific, but to a sophisticated buyer, it's a static vanity number with no context. When did those customers join? Are they still using it? Is it growing or stagnant? Here's the right version. Joined by 4,200 marketing teams in the last 60 days. Specific, time-bounded, implies recent momentum. That number tells a buyer, this is moving and people like me are moving with it. Your execution step this week, audit your homepage, your pricing page, and your primary landing pages. Everywhere a buyer pauses to decide, add a user count, a customer count, or a rate of adoption, and make it time-bounded. A static number is a credential. A growing number is a crowd. Give buyers the crowd. Marketing move number 2, engineer visible early momentum before you have real scale. The principle, early signals of adoption create disproportionate downstream momentum. You don't need 100,000 users to trigger a bandwagon dynamic. You need the right signals visible at the right moment. Here's the wrong version of this. Launching a new product and no social proof, then hoping organic word of mouth takes over. You're asking buyers to walk into an empty restaurant and decide the food must be good. Here's the right version. Before launch, build a wait list with a visible counter. Show the number growing publicly. Or run a limited beta with a founding customer count that gets referenced in every piece of launch coverage. Robinhood built a wait list before anyone could use the product. 1 million people joined. The wait list was the product before the product existed. Your execution step? If you have an upcoming launch campaign or feature release, design a pre-launch mechanic that makes interest visible and quantified. The number doesn't need to be massive. It needs to be real, specific, and in front of buyers at the moment they're evaluating whether to pay attention. And your marketing move number 3, build referral mechanics that make adoption socially observable. The principle? The bandwagon effect requires visibility. Adoption that happens privately creates no bandwagon. Your referral mechanics need to make adoption visible to the people most likely to follow. The wrong version? An email referral link where the referred person has no idea how many others from their world are already inside. They click, they land, they see nothing that signals a crowd. No momentum, no urgency. The right version? A referral flow where the referred person sees something specific before they sign up. Your colleague Sarah and 6 others from your company are already using this. That's not a coincidence. That's architecture. LinkedIn built their entire early growth engine on exactly this mechanic, showing new signups exactly which colleagues were already there before they committed to anything. Your execution step? Map every screen a referred user sees before they convert. At each step, identify where you can inject a visible adoption signal, a team count, a colleague count, a join X people who signed up this week message. The goal is to make a referred user feel like they are arriving at a party that already started, not an empty room. Because when buyers see an empty room, they assume it's empty for a reason. The bandwagon effect is not a trick you run on buyers. It's a structural property of markets. Perceived adoption is a quality signal. That signal compounds, and the competitor who makes their adoption visible first gets a lead that becomes self-reinforcing. Nobody got in line at the French fry place because they analyzed the menu. They got in line because the crowd looked certain. Your job is to be the crowd that looks certain first. Your marketing move.